this meeting as well. So just an FYI. Okay, we are live on Facebook and YouTube.
Excellent. All right. Welcome, everyone, and good evening. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. And first off, I'd like to ask our guests to introduce themselves. I see we have a couple. So, Brian Kim, if you would start.
Yeah, good evening. My name's Brian Kim. I am a commissioner here in Solano County, and I'm currently running for judge.
Okay. And saw another John Godinez.
Godinez, you got it. That's right. Yeah.
Introduce yourself.
Yeah, of course. So I used to be really active with the party. Probably a little less than 10 years ago, I worked for Jim Frazier and for Bill Dodd before being a city commissioner for the city of Vacaville. So now I'm back in town and want to get more involved, so decided to join.
Okay, excellent. Glad you could join us. And looks like everyone else is a member or an alternate. So moving on, Tom, if you pull up the land acknowledgement, and then I will tap my club president, Jeannie White, to read it this evening, as soon as it's up on the screen.
We pause to acknowledge that Solano County Democratic Central Committee of the Democratic Party sits on the land of the Miwok and Patwin people. We remember their continued connection to this region and give thanks to them for allowing us to live, work, learn, and pray in their traditional homeland. We offer our respect to their elders and the Miwok and Patwin people of the past and present.
All right, thank you very much. We do have a quorum. So next item is to approve our minutes from January. So do you have those to display, Tom?
Send out after the meeting. What do I should I resend them again?
Oh, I was asking if Tom had them to display.
So yeah, hold on just a moment. Let me pull them up.
If there's any typos, it's Jeannie's fault.
Corey, you said you sent them out when?
5 minutes after the conclusion of the January meeting. I can go and send them via email if that'd be helpful.
No, I just need to find you.
No worries. It's in the Google Drive also if you want to dig that up.
Well, I remember reading them when they first came out, and I would move that we approve them.
All right. Is there a second to that?
I'll second.
Okay, and did anyone who read the minutes, do they have any additions, corrections, or deletions before we take a vote?
I didn't see anything.
Seeing nobody's hand up, I guess we can go straight to the poll, Tom.
Okay. Sorry, I could not find that email.
No. I do know it went out, but we can ask for to send again just to refresh people's memory after the meeting.
I'll send out both, Don. No problem.
Awesome.
Okay. You all should have a poll in front of you. We ask that the visitors please refrain from voting?
And also, if you're an alternate, but your member is chair, please refrain from voting.
Okay, 1 minute has passed. I see 16 of 23 have voted, so that's enough to have been voted for a quorum. Should I call it?
Sure.
It passes.
All right, thank you. Moving on to the agenda for tonight, since we do have a candidate for judge who has joined us, Brian Kim. I'd like to move to amend the agenda to insert him as a speaker as the next item of business and allow him 5 minutes to speak.
So
Plus
moved.
5 minutes for questions and answers.
I'll
And-
second.
Okay. Are there any other changes that anyone wishes to make to the agenda? If not, let's go ahead and launch that poll as soon as it's ready. And everyone vote early and vote often.
One minute has passed. Going to go
Okay.
ahead and call it.
Sure.
The vote passes.
Thank you, everyone. And with that, I'd like to spotlight Brian Kim. And as soon as you begin speaking, sir, you'll have 5 minutes. And then we will have questions following that. So take it away.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Brian Kim. I'm currently, as I stated before, a commissioner of the Superior Court of California. So what a commissioner is I'm a judicial officer. I have my own courtroom. Instead of being elected by Solano County, I was elected by the judges of Solano County to run my own courtroom. And what I do is I handle a criminal courtroom where I do jury trials, I hear motions, I do what you would imagine judges do. So I essentially do judge work. And before that, I was a prosecutor in Solano County for 14 years. I handled a number of serious cases, including murders, aggravated assaults, gang crimes, major narcotics, and name any sort of crime, and essentially I prosecuted it. Prior to that, I was a prosecutor in Inyo County, a small county in the mountains. And yeah, that was for about 3 years. So it was about 17 years altogether that I was a prosecutor, and that has entailed my legal career. And I've been a commissioner of the Superior Court for about 4.5 years, since 2019. My current endorsements, I'm endorsed by virtually every judge in the county. in terms of retired and current judges. I'm last count, I think it was 24 judges of Solano County have endorsed me. Altogether, in terms of judges and judicial officers, I believe it's 30 some odd judges have endorsed me. I'm endorsed by a number of law enforcement agencies, which would include the Vacaville Police Officers Association, the Fairfield Police Officers Association, Tom Farrar, the sheriff, the Deputy Sheriff's Association, as well as a statewide law enforcement agency, as well as the Probation Peace Officers Association. And those, in terms of the local law enforcement agencies, those are the ones that I worked most closely with when I was prosecutor. And with regards to my other endorsements, I've been endorsed by a number of prominent criminal defense attorneys. I don't know if you've all seen American Nightmare, but the two defense attorneys from Solano County in there, they both endorsed me. I'd like to think that given that I'm endorsed by law enforcement, defense attorneys, and judges, it shows that I can be fair and impartial. And that's the key to what you would want from a judge, because we're not allowed to take political positions. We're not allowed to state what our opinion is, even on the law. What we're allowed to do is to tell you whether we'd be fair and impartial and tell you why we'd be fair and impartial. And I think given, my experience, the endorsements that I have, that I believe that in terms of this campaign and this election, that I'm, the most proven candidate with regards to whether I can be fair and impartial. And so I did see a question that was in the chat with regards to who did I support. In terms of for DA, I'm actually not allowed to answer that question. What do you believe your role will be about legal abortions in California? With regards to abortions in California, the truth is mainly I've done criminal law. I can't imagine that, frankly, that there would be much of a role that I would play with regards to legal abortions. I can't actually give you my opinion about, what my opinions are on the more recent, the Dawes decision. I think probably you all are aware of. I can't give you my opinion about that. I can only tell you what the state of the law is in California. And with regards to what it is nationally. And I think many of you are already aware of that. And I haven't seen anything in our court system here in Solano County with regards to abortion law. I'm happy to take any other questions.
All right. Does anyone have any
question?
questions?
I'm writing.
Okay.
I see
Next
one.
question. Next question is, what are your feelings about granting bail for nonviolent defendants? And I'll just remind people, put your questions in chat.
Okay.
So there's one voice. I
think that with regards to the bail for nonviolent defendants, I can say this, is that I can't tell you my feelings about it. Generally speaking, I can say that you have to take each case, in and of itself, because every fact pattern is different. Each defendant is different. Every case is different because people are different. They come from different backgrounds, and what they're accused of is obviously different. So you have to take a look at each case individually. There is a case, Henry Humphreys, that gives the court guidance about how to view setting bail for violent and non-violent defendants. And what you're supposed to take into account is, how likely they're to appear in court, what kind of danger do they pose to the community? Is there clear and convincing evidence that there are no less restrictive means outside of setting bail? I would take those factors. I would take the facts of each case individually as opposed to giving you a broad answer. The next question is, judges' races are typically uncontested. Are you able to discuss the dynamics of? Yes, I can. So with regards to the judge races, it's not unopposed. I do have an opponent. This is an open seat. One of the judges in Solano County is retiring. So I'm running against a local attorney by the name of Michael Thompson. And I think that answers that question. Most folks here don't support Tom Ferrara. Why are you okay here? Sorry. Touting his endorsement. Well, the reason that I am touting law enforcement's endorsements is, and why I also couple that with my endorsements by criminal defense attorneys, is because I think that shows, given my broad endorsements, that I can be fair. You know, I don't think if all I came in here with was, you know, one side or the other, that this side endorses me, the other side doesn't, then what that shows is that maybe I have a certain bias towards one way or the other, and I don't. I think given that the number of criminal defense attorneys that do support me and the law enforcement endorsements that I do have, I think what that does show is that I am fair and impartial in the judgments that I make, that I take each case as an individual case because each person is different. Each situation is different. And if you start painting with a broad brush, you know, say like, I don't believe in like the no bail theory, or we should keep nonviolent offenders in jail. Well, I mean, I can't say that, number one, but number two is if you start painting with a broad brush like that, then you end up with bad results. And I think that you need to take each case individually, that you have to be impartial in each case and take circumstances as they are. Okay, given your noted close relationships with law enforcement, how would you be impartial, especially considering the historic leniency of law enforcement officials? I'm not sure I completely understand that question.
I believe the speaker is referring to the fact that historically law enforcement appears to get the benefit of the doubt and then some in terms of prosecutions.
Yeah, I understand now. Okay. Like I stated before, I think I answered that question in answering the previous question. I'd like to think, at least. In regards to close relationship with law enforcement, I don't have a close relationship with law enforcement currently. I mean, I have a bailiff who is with the sheriff's department, but with regards to close relationship now, no. I did seek their endorsement. However, that doesn't mean that they're constantly in my ear, because they are not. Like I stated before, I actually have more interactions with the criminal defense bar. And in terms of, if you looked at who's donated to my campaign, frankly, almost, I would say the largest donors outside of my family were in fact criminal defense attorneys.
All right. Well, that's our 5 minutes for questions and answers. Thank you very much for indulging us.
Okay. No, thank you.
We will forward on these questions to you. Ask that you, if you are able to respond, please do so. I appreciate it. And with that, we will move on. And thank you very much. Okay, next item is public comment. This is for guests to our meeting.
I have a public comment.
All comments are limited to 2 minutes. Additional time may not be granted. Comment period cannot exceed 30 minutes. So we'll open it up for public comment. Let me pull up my window. If anyone, any of our guests has a comment, please raise your hand. Okay, Steve Quinlan, I see you have a comment.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
You could have let it go on. People had questions. Like, there's not a hard and fast rule. Let it be stuck to 5 minutes, especially a race as important as that. Thank you.
Thank you for your feedback. All right, any other public comments? Not seeing any hands. Public comment is closed. Moving on to announcements. Does anyone have any announcements? Not seeing any hands up. So with that, Julia.
Sorry, I totally forgot. We are going to be having a trivia night on April 20th from 6 to 8 p.m. It's looking like it's going to be at the Nelson Center in Sassoon. There will be tickets coming up soon, but just go ahead and mark your calendars for April 20th. Should be a rip-roaring good time.
Who is we?
Sorry, Northern Solano Democratic Club.
All right, thank you. Kathy Carriage, your hands up.
Hi. I don't normally make announcements about meetings, but we are going to be our next meeting on March 12th. We will be having people from both California Forever and Solano together speaking. So I think it should be interesting. And that'll be March 12th at 7 o'clock.
Okay, great. And if you feel free to send a reminder, Corey and myself will send it out to the membership.
Thank you.
I don't see any other hands for announcements, so we'll jump to our treasurer's report.
Karen, is that the right report? You're on mute if you're speaking.
All right, there we go. Okay. If you can't see it, I think Tom sent it out earlier, so you should be able to maybe follow along. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask me.
I'm also displaying it on screen. Can people see it?
Right. I see it, so I'm just okay. So for the treasurer's report for February 2024, our beginning balance on 1/20 was $5,895.80. Our credits were Act Blue award dinner contributions of $1,537 with an allocation transfer from our state account of $268.91, giving us total credits of $1,806.33. And adding that to our beginning balance, we had a subtotal of $7,702.13. Looking at the debits, River City Business Services, which is our accounting services, a fee of $1,059.26. Our storage unit at $118.99. Shea Soul Catering for the awards dinner was $319.22. With Act Blue Tech Services, which is the fee they charge us with all of the contributions we had of $84.34, with a total debits of $3,821.81. With subtracting those debits from our subtotal, we are left with $3,880.32 for the ending balance for our federal account. Now looking at our state account, the beginning balance of $3,577.54 on January 20th. Contributions of $480 from Act Blue. We had distribution deposits of $848 for a total credits of $1,328. and adding that to our beginning balance, a total of $4,905.54. Looking at the debits, ActBlue Tech Services, a $34.90 charge. Allocation transfer, which we transferred to our federal account, came out of the state account of $268.91 for total debits of $303.81. And subtracting that from our balance equaled $4,601.73. And when we add the two together, the balances of the federal account and the balance of the state account, we have a grand total of $8,482.05 in our treasury. Now, moving on, I don't know, Tom, if you have the next page, which is the financial analysis. I don't know if you put that on or not, but there we go. Okay, so I did a financial analysis so that we could all see exactly what's happening in our awards dinner, which was one of the biggest events that we had during the year. So our federal donations came to $4,170, with our state donations coming to $1,555. We had dessert auction proceeds of $360, and we had our tip jar donations of $137.42. Our total donation receipts were $6,222.42. Now, when we look at the budget breakdown, our actual expenses versus our projected expenses, and you see in some areas we didn't really project an expense. Julia did this for us. Thank you, Julia. But our actual expenses, the plates were $218.67, tablecloths $139.03, silverware with napkins were $54.94, catering, which Shay sold, was $2,319.22. Our drinks, ice and water, was $58.58. Additional catering was for vegan and also drinks, the beer and wine with cups, was $284.37. The tote bins that we used to transfer the items, all the items over to the center, $62.85. Security was an in-kind donation of Monica Brown. The programs were $351.89. Excuse me, and the plaques, or the award plaques, were $615.85, with the venue being another in-kind donation from Monica Brown, with a total spend of actual expenses $4,105.36. So when we subtract that from our donation receipts, we have a net asset of $2,117.06. So one of the recommendations that I thought I would present to the group would be in terms of expenses. And I'm sure that the awards committee was thinking the same thing, that some of the events that we may want to propose in the future, and that some events that you may want to recommend could be less expense burden. However, as you know, the price of food is up tremendously. So we could possibly do a high coveted food event like a crab feed or something like that, which would be at a higher yield for us to make more money, or to have a better net asset, which is what nonprofits look for. The other recommendation I had was in streamlining our event suggestions, in terms of streamlining our events, so they have more of a smooth operational process. I looked at the reception. If our event flyer had an inclusion of attendees bringing the ActBlue receipt or their AB ticket or their AB number with them for interest into the activity, it could reduce the bottlenecks of jam up and congestions at the reception table. Even though we had a net 5 people to intake, it was still like a big bottleneck there. So I think that having that, because some people came, they didn't even know what who bought the ticket for them. They didn't know what the ticket AB number was. Some of them didn't even know if they had, they had a ticket. I think that would cut down on that if we include the Act Blue receipt or the AB ticket or the AB ticket number, which is the Act Blue ticket number. And then if we could solicit participation of maybe one club member per club out of the Solano clubs, Solano County Central Committee clubs, to volunteer a member in a rotating host basis at every reception desk. I think that might help us too. In terms of the process in regard to the auctions, perhaps maybe reducing the amount of cash handled at the event auction. Cash is always a big concern because you want to get the right amount of cash. You know, somebody maybe you don't want people to forget that they gave you cash, or you have cash that's available to be misplaced or what have you. But the amount of cash handled at the event auctions by utilizing the ActBlue donation site. So if we have an ActBlue donation site, which is stipulated by the date of the event or design form, which stipulates the specific auction, to pay for the purchases will help the activity to be less chaotic, I think. So in other words, that form that we have, instead of it being 2 pages, would be a 1 form, flip over, and would have all the necessary information. It would incorporate and capture the bidder or buyer information. The new form will request ActBlue numbers to confirm payment, as well as using this 1 page to discourage document loss. So these are suggestions that I have. If anybody would like to comment on those, if they would have any additional comments or suggestions that would make the event run smoother. It was a great event. I mean, everybody was pleased. We had good reception from our political leaders, and they came out and they spoke. And but just as always, you do a good job, but you want to do a better job. And I just think that maybe some of those suggestions could help us do that. So any comments or any suggestions, please, I'm open.
If anyone has any comments or suggestions they'd like to make, please raise your hand so that Karen can recognize you. I'm not seeing any, so I will just simply say well done. Thank you for a very thorough report and keeping us up to date. And a good job. Oh, Pat, I see your hand's up now.
Yeah, I was thinking that, I'm sorry if I'm a little loud, but I was thinking if we have a fundraiser and make a decent amount of money, that we should set aside a portion of that money for the elections, maybe 50%, 60%. Because I think that's kind of what we're, one of our main purposes is to try to elect good endorsed Democratic candidates. And so that would be my suggestion, so that we don't go from one event losing or you know, not keeping the amount of profit we had into the second event. So that's just and making maybe some of these events that are more about award dinners or doing special things, not such a large event, maybe doing more of a luncheon or something that is a little less expensive. That would be that's just my thoughts. So thank you.
Great idea. Thank you, Pat, for that.
Okay.
Okay. Jeff, your hand.
Yep. So there was a situation where it was near one of the bidders who bid $100, and they came back with $1 because that is a limit on the amount of cash that can be provided before forms. So when it comes to that, I think it'd be useful or helpful to have that information up front, because if somebody is intending to pay by cash, understanding that as soon as you hit that 100, now different forms are involved, or you know, whatever the process is. So just it'd be helpful to have that up front.
Outstanding. Thank you, Jeff.
Julia? Julia, you're on mute if you're talking.
I know, I'm sorry, I'm on my phone right now. I was going to let you know that with regards to how we're spending the money, we don't actually have a budget currently. So that is something that we do need to work on. Because at this point, we can't really earmark money when we don't have a budget. So that's all I had.
And Kathy?
Bring back the crab feeds. I just went to one this year. I loved it. I have fond memories of the crab feeds that we used to have, and just my 2 cents worth.
Thank you, Kathy, for that. I mean, they do generate a lot of money too. People like those.
I love them.
Yeah.
Jeannie?
I did want to say thank you to Monica Brown for her help in getting the space for us, because that certainly did help with the bottom line.
Oh,
So special thanks to Monica for doing that.
thanks, Jeannie. Absolutely.
I will say ultimately, all of our money is intended to be supporting our campaign activity. However, River City does charge a premium, and we do have other expenses. And as you see from the reports over the last couple of months, that sometimes you need to use one event's proceeds as the seed money for the next event, each event ultimately, hopefully making a profit, so that we have the money we need by this fall. I will add, I would love to have the crab feed back. My recollection, and I'm sure that Julia and Vernil and the rest will correct me if I'm wrong when it comes time for the report, is that at the time we started planning fundraising events, there was still a little skittish about the packed room of a crab feed. So hopefully we can consider doing that next year. I would love to do that. Because I know a lot of people like crab, and it is traditionally a good moneymaker. Monica, your hand's up.
In some of the Act Blue that I donate to, they also ask for what the fee is. So say you're donating 50, it might be $52 that you add. So it's just something to think about, rather than being one massive amount that the central committee pays that we individually just pay. It's just something to think about. That's all.
Don, may I interject? So Monica, are you talking about the Act Blue fee that they charge for?
Right, that they
Okay.
charge people individually.
Got
If I
it.
may through the chair to continue that conversation.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my only thought. I know for me, when I do it, it's like $2 to help offset the cost, so that the nonprofit or whomever doesn't have to pick up that tab, because it does obviously delete the purpose, which is raising funds. It was just a thought.
Right, right.
Well, certainly, although again, the Act Blue costs are fairly minimal compared to our bookkeepers, but the feedback is welcome, and I'm sure that the treasurer and the fundraising committee will take it into consideration as we plan our future events. Because as you see from our bottom line, we still have a ways to go if we're going to be able to afford our desired campaign activities for November. Okay, do you have anything else, Karen?
That's it. Thank you so much.
All right. With that, we'll move on to the other reports. Starting with the chair's report. I'm sure most of you have heard today's news that Mitch McConnell will be stepping down as Republican leader this November. I'm sure all of you will be giving him your thoughts and prayers. And beyond that, I do want to share with you that the spring e-board meeting for the state party will be in San Diego, May 17th through 19th. And the winter e-board meeting, which is December, I think, 6th through 8th, right around there, if I don't have the exact dates, will be in Santa Rosa, of all places. And then we will have a virtual one in the summer. And also, for those of you who are interested in doing so, the filing period to run for a delegate to the National Convention is open for all three categories: district level delegate, at-large delegate, or party leader and elected official. I would encourage those of you who are interested in spending a couple grand of your own money to go to Chicago and vote to renominate our president for reelection. Feel free to file. Next, our Northern Vice Chair, do you have anything to report outside of the fundraising?
I'm sorry, I was on mute. No, I don't, just add to the fundraising, that's all. Did you hear me?
Yes, we heard you. Thanks, Vernell. Okay. Did not see Southern Vice Chair in the room. So, Secretary, do you have anything to report other than the
Yeah, I'm
minutes?
good. Thanks.
All right. Moving on to our Information Resource Officer. I know you submitted a report in writing, but you want to add to that and expand on it?
I'll reserve my time for in the new business timeframe.
Okay. And parliamentarian, do you have anything other than the bylaws committee to report?
Yes, I do. I just want to give the clubs a heads up that we are at the biennial, I don't know, it's every 2 years. We have to go through the clubs. And so I will be requesting a written summary of club activities since the previous renewal or when the charter was granted, a current list of club officers, and a current copy of the bylaws. So I will be sending out emails, but I just want to give everybody a heads up.
Okay. Michelle, your hand's up.
Yeah, thanks, Don. So I have a question about the bylaws committee meeting, which is, do we have a deadline that we have to meet in order to submit these bylaws, or how does that work?
I'll be going over it in the bylaws committee report, but yes, we do.
Yeah. Short answer is yes, because the state party has a window by which we need to submit our endorsement process for approval for our endorsement to be counted as the state party's endorsement, which is why we're changing around the schedule of some of the articles being considered.
Okay, so I'll wait for Julia's report on that probably more. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Moving on to elected officials reports. I believe we had some reports come in earlier. We don't have the congressional representatives with us tonight. Bill Dodd's report. Alicia, do you have a report?
I have nothing to report from the senator. Thank you, Don.
All right, thank you. Let's see, Assembly member. Do we have a report from Supervisor Brown?
Nope, I'm just in stress mode.
Okay. And we saw the written report from Supervisor Williams come out this evening. So that's good. Moving on to club reports. Do we have a representative from the Community Democratic Club with us this evening? So please raise your hand. Okay, Jewish Democratic Club. I thought I saw Matthew earlier. Are you with us for a report?
I am. Thank you for bearing with me. So I have an image I'd like to share. I'm not sure exactly how best to get it out. Okay, I can screen share. Perfect. All right, give me 1 second. Let me just bring this up. Okay. So March 3rd, and we're going to close on March 24th. You guys, we got a show coming up at the Vallejo Naval and Historical Museum. And this event is going to be a multimedia art event. And, this is Jewish voices, our stories, our histories. Um, and we're having storytellers. We're having shows about our histories. We're having Who Will Write Our History, a documentary about um, Ringelblum and the Warsaw Ghetto. In addition, there's going to be Jewish artists that are featured, songs, music, and food available. So that's going to open on March 3rd. It's going to close on March 24th. Jewish Democratic Club of Solano County has been a major organizing force in this event. We felt very strongly that it was time to have like a more robust community presence, in that the way towards communal safety is by existing in public. So this will be the first event, I think, in the history of Solano County. It's going to be sponsored by both synagogues and Terrell University. So I don't know if you guys know this, but Terrell University does have a Jewish story. It started as a Jewish university. So virtually every major community stakeholder, every major Jewish community institution, and this is an effort that we were absolutely, it's really hard to underwrite the effort that our members played in organizing and bringing this to the table. So I want to encourage everybody to be there. And I want to thank you guys for coming and for supporting us. And this has just been like an effort of love for the past several months. We've been doing this instead of like a lot of other things. So I hope you guys do come and please do check it out. And Brigitte, if you have anything to add to what I'm saying, I'd really appreciate hearing from you about it too.
Okay, not hearing anything. When we get back to the bylaws committee, Julia, who asked to provide clarification on when the deadline is to get rechartering materials submitted. So you will clarify that for the clubs. It would be appreciated.
Don, I'm going to send that to you, and I'm going to ask that you send that to everybody in the list if you can. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Let's see, Progressive Democrats. I thought you sent a report, but not finding my copy of it. So do you have anything you want to add to it verbally or report out?
Carrie didn't send me a report. This is Maggie Falk. I'm her alternate. She didn't send me a report, but I can report on the fact that our February meeting, we voted to endorse Cassandra James for District 1 Board of Supervisors. And I just looked on her website and we're not listed. So I guess Kathy and I'll have to let her know that we've endorsed her.
Okay, awesome.
We also endorsed Measure C in Benicia and heard from both the candidates and the superintendent of schools.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy.
Rio Vista Democratic Club, I saw you, we had something from you. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yes, I do actually. We're still doing a series at Rio Vista, trying to support candidates up and down the ballot. We're having Lori Wilson join us. Unfortunately, it's the same day. I just heard Kathy said they're having something on the 12th, and ours is actually on the 12th, with Lori Williams in Rio Vista at 5 p.m. So those of you that can't make one, please make the other. We'd love to have you come on out and join us. Thank you.
Awesome. And looking, do we have a representative from the Sankofa Club with us? I don't see the appointed representative with us. I'll just add to the Northern Solano Democratic Club's written report that last weekend we had the Cooking with Alice brunch with Congressman Mike Thompson. Several people attended in person. The congressman, prepared the frittatas to his recipe and had a very good exchange of views and his position on a number of policies for those of us watching by Zoom. And I am told that the brunch itself went very well for those who were there in person. And it was a successful fundraiser as well. So Julia and Jeannie and the rest of the crew did their usual excellent job on behalf of the Northern Club. Okay, moving on to our committee reports, and we're jumping right back to our fundraising committee and any additional information that we want to discuss regarding the awards dinner. So Vernil and Julia, take it away.
Sure. I don't have anything additional, and thank you for your recommendations, Karen. And we'll take it to the meeting and see what we can do with it. What I'd like to add to that is more volunteers. We need more hands on deck, beginning and end. But other than that, I'd like to say congratulations to all the awardees. I'd like to say thank you to Monica, Julia, Jacob, Jeannie, Marge, and Ian for their volunteer services to help make the event successful. We had approximately 100 people attend, and as they already stated, Mike Thompson and Lori Wilson were the guest speakers. And I'd like to also give Don a shout out in terms of him making his remarks as to why we do what we do as Democrats. And so the dessert auction, but again, the volunteers, we need more volunteers in the future, especially if you talk about a crab feed. But that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Julia, anything you wish to add before you get on the hook for the bylaws committee report?
What, you haven't heard enough from me? I would like to second the volunteers, especially if people are throwing out a crab feed. These are a lot of work, and many hands make light work. So the more volunteers that we have, the better we can do. Thank you.
Yeah, and I will echo the thanks for everyone who worked on the awards dinner. You all did a superb job in pulling it together and creating a success. And I will echo the remarks asking for more volunteers. This is not a committee where somebody does the work. It is a committee where we do the work. So I would encourage everyone to step up and participate to the extent that they are able to do so with our fundraising events, so that we can accomplish our shared goal of electing good Democrats in November and at the primary. Now back to the bylaws committee, and Julia, you're on again.
Okay. So I did send out an email regarding what we will be doing for the updating of the bylaws committee. Basically, everybody is busy. We're going to do our best to try and get as much input as possible. So the meetings will be every first and third Wednesday of the month from 8 p.m. till hopefully 8:45. We'd like to keep it short, sweet, and on the point. So for going down to the bottom. So March 6th, we will be reviewing Articles 1 through 3, name, purpose, and members. These ones are fairly self-described and do not have too much controversy to them, so it should be a quick one. March 20th will be endorsements. If we are seeing that a lot of chatter is taking place, we might need to do that in 2 meetings or have an extra long meeting for that one day. But we'll see where we're at in terms of suggestions. April 3rd, we're going to be doing Articles 6 through 7, meetings and executive board. April 17th, we're going to be doing Article 8, 11, and 12. committees, parliamentary authority, and amendment and review of the bylaws. May 1st, we're going to be doing Articles 4 and 5, officers and state central committee members and executive board representatives. May 15th, we're going to be doing Article 10, clubs. I tried to group it to the ones that are the longest / ones that people have the most power and commentary on to try and streamline this as much as possible. So there is a Google Doc. Feel free to comment on the Google Doc. You can comment on people's comments. Please be respectful of other people. We are a committee. We do not need to be disrespectful. When we get to these meetings, we will go through and we will read each bylaw with their standing rules that are associated. Then we will go through and we will read each edit that has been suggested. We will go through one by one and vote with the people present at the meeting as to whether or not we would like to accept the proposed suggestion for edit of the bylaws. So it should be a fairly, obviously suggestions can be made at the meeting as well, but it should be a fairly streamlined process. It should be fairly clear. And please go to the Google Doc, make suggestions, find the thing that you find confusing, unclear, or incorrect with the standards of the Central Committee, and suggest something that you think is more appropriate. I would like for people to feel heard. Mind you, not every suggestion will be voted and passed. So please keep that in mind. It will be a majority vote of members that are able to vote. So if you are an alternate and your member is there, your vote is not cast. This is only for eligible voting members at these committees. So as Don was saying earlier, the reason for the rush is we will be doing endorsements in August in order to have the state party's endorsement also come along with our endorsement. We need to have our bylaws be approved by the state, the endorsement article approved by the state party. They will not look at it after May 1st, which is why we will be doing it March 20th, so that that article can be read on the March meeting to be voted on in the April meeting, so that we can submit by May 1st. I think I have that timing correct. And if you have any question, as for the meeting times, this is a lot of work. This is a lot of stuff that we're trying to get done in a short period of time. I understand that not everybody will be able to make these meetings. I truly want every single person that can come to come. However, I do need to make it so that I can actually attend every single one of these meetings and still remain married. So that is the reason for the timing. So I do apologize if it is inconvenient for people, but I do need to attend every single one of these meetings. And so at the end of the day, I need to pick a time that I can actually attend.
And Julia, if I can ask, would you again send out the calendar of dates along with the link to the Google Docs and presumably the Zoom link for your bylaws meeting? Send that out to people again so all the members have it.
Yes.
I know you sent that stuff out earlier, but let's just send it out again. So that we have it, and again, please submit your feedback through the Google Doc if you're, and ideally go through the articles on the agenda for that meeting prior to, so that the meeting is as quick as Julia wants it to be.
As well as the standing rule.
Yes, Michelle.
Okay, so just to be clear, at the March 20th meeting, we're going to be reading, we're going to be at the bylaws committee meeting. We're going to go over endorsements so it can be read at the central committee's meeting, March meeting. And that means it can be voted on in our April meeting. I'm still not clear on the state's deadline that this has to be submitted.
The state is requiring that we submit our endorsement language by May 1st so that it can be reviewed and approved by the relevant state committee. I believe it's the state bylaws committee, but don't hold me to that.
And you were
but-
saying, Don, that the reason for that is what again?
For the Central Committee's endorsement to count as the state party's endorsement, the state party has to approve each Central Committee's endorsement process as spelled out in our bylaws.
Okay.
So that is the goal, so that we can say that, for example, if we endorse Andrea for mayor, that she can put Andrea is endorsed by the California Democratic Party, not just the Central Committee. That's the
Got
goal.
it. So also in terms of the whole thing with the flyers, does that May 1st deadline, assuming they approve our process, mean that our endorsements can be on the flyers again? The door flyers.
I believe so. Yes, I believe that is part of the process.
Very good. Very good.
So, does anyone, Kathy?
Is there, are there certain guidelines that have to be followed in, as to what the endorsement process needs to say? Are there any restrictions or?
The party has a fairly lengthy list of requirements. But they're fundamentally the ones that we've been encouraging people to follow in the past, such as only endorsing registered Democrats, can endorse no more candidates can be endorsed in the number of seats up, and things like that. There's others. Julia has a copy of that.
I will.
I imagine she will share that.
I will include that in the next email that I send out.
That would be great, because I think it'd be very helpful if we want to make comments to know.
Yeah,
what
I'll
restrictions
include
there might be.
the whole. I mean, we do have to adhere to the California state party bylaws, so I'll include the whole thing. But I will highlight and copy in relevant parts to the endorsement article, so that specifically we can actually look at that and make sure that before we submit it, it's actually adhering to their standards.
Thank you.
Okay. Bonnie, I see your hand next.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted a clarification on the voting for the bylaws. So we will be voting at our regular central committee meetings. Is that correct? But they will give us recommendations to vote on. Is that the issue?
Correct. The bylaws committee will review and bring us the language. We will discuss it in March, and the final vote hopefully will be in April, because our bylaws require that revisions or amendments are heard at 2 meetings of the central
Right, have
committee
to
as a
sit
whole.
on the table. So, and just another clarification, but everyone is welcome to the bylaw committee meetings and to give input.
Yeah, every member and alternate is certainly welcome to give input. Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Michelle again. You're muted if you're speaking.
So those clarifications were helpful. It would be really great if, Julia, the document that you're going to work on about endorsements, if you could put that on Google Docs as well, or do you just assume that you're going to do that?
The bylaws that we have are currently on a Google Doc. The thing that Kathy had asked about was the state party bylaws. Those we will not be editing. Those ones we're just going to be referencing. So I was
Right.
just going to send those out in its entirety and just highlight certain portions for the endorsements, if that's okay. Do
No,
you
that's,
want those in a Google Doc as well?
yeah, it'd just be fabulous if we had a place where we could go and, just have all the material we need to be really prepared.
Sure. And I can see if I can put it in this. I'll try and make it as organized as possible so that when we're looking at it, it feels clear. And
There's
we're
also
able
a checklist that the party sent out. Julia, you might want to share that.
Okay.
And our regional director has his hand up. So Jeff, opine for us, please.
No, it sounds like you guys have got it covered. I just want to make sure that I would like to be part of the process to see the document, just to kind of see what's going on there. But I haven't received any emails from the committee in quite some time. So I just need to make sure that I'm on your mailing list.
Okay, you should be, but we will double check that and make sure.
Yeah, and if it is, of course, you and I can have a conversation. It might be in my, I've looked in the spam folders and everything too. So, but anyway, thanks a lot.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, so Julia, I'm also the rules chair in Contra Costa, so have some ideas there too.
I will shoot you an email and you can give me some suggestions. I'd love it.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Seeing no further hands, we will jump to business, which is the payment of our Zoom and Google subscriptions. So Tom, you've got the floor.
Good evening, Democrats. Let me open up a document and share it with you. I did send out a report for you guys that was detailing everything. So we have a couple of decisions tonight. Well, actually just one decision. The rest are just approvals to repay me for the expenses that we have already incurred for the expense of running our committee online. Namely a Zoom charge that was paid for the next year of service. And then also for the last 7 months, the payment of our Google services that we use. And then the decision that we have to make, if you look at and I'm trying to, this clicking is not working, is related to changing our Google services from a monthly fee base to a yearly to save some additional money because Google is going up in their rates. They're going from they're going to be charging us another $115.20 if we don't sign up for a year of service. So if we do that, we pay a year up front, and the next bill isn't due until March of 2025. So that would allow us so nothing else changes, nothing else needs to be done. And it just continues on. So that is what is coming up for your decision.
Move authorization of payment of $326.20 to the Information Resource Officer.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion by anyone?
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay,
Yep.
Karen?
Okay, Tom, you mentioned that we would go from a monthly fee to an annual fee. What does that annual fee look like? If you could.
It's in my report. It is $576, which is actually what we're paying for now. So the motion on the floor right now is about reimbursement of the Zoom charges, but the fee for the annual plan for Google is we would basically be paying the same amount that we're paying now.
Okay.
But it would be paid in one lump sum and covers the entire year instead of 12 individual charges. And what I was doing with Paula prior to you was bundling them up and then doing them after the fact because I could withstand that, but this would allow us to not have to do that.
Got it. Thank you.
I think Lynette has her hand up.
I guess I'm recognized.
Yes.
Okay, are we trying to, because Jeff just put in the chat, the state party endorsed this. Are we just having a discussion about it? Because we can't take a position opposite from the state party.
There's two different, I think there's two different things going on. There's a chat by individual members that has nothing
Okay.
to do with the item on the floor. The item on the
Thank you.
floor is to approve the Zoom and Google, approve the reimbursement for the Zoom, and then also, I guess, pay the annual fee for Google.
Okay, thank you for the clarification because I was confused. Thank you so much.
So,
any other questions?
Now, I am apologize. Did the motion cover both items or just the
No,
one?
so I do have these split into individuals. That way, for record keeping, we have an individual thing. So I do have these split into 3 individual polls. So and that's
Okay.
that's why I did break them out this way, if it's okay with the chair. That way,
Yeah, I think that's appropriate to do. So we're all clear on what we're voting for. So,
we
unless
had
there's
a-
any further questions regarding what has been put forward. And I'm assuming that the treasurer has no issues with these expenditures. So if you launch the first poll, Tom.
This is for Zoom. This is for the Zoom meeting reimbursement. Lynette, did you have another question?
All eligible voters would kindly vote on the reimbursing Tom with the Zoom costs.
I think we've gotten everyone voted.
Okay.
All right, we're coming up on a minute. Okay, gonna go ahead and call it. And yay, I get my money back.
Okay, before we move to the next item, Pat, your hand's up.
Is my hand still up? Is that what you're saying?
No, Pat Bell Smith.
Oh, okay.
You're muted.
Okay, here I am. I just wanted to say I didn't get a ballot to vote on, so something happened there.
It could be that it's underneath. What device are you on?
I'm on a laptop.
Okay, because it would show up as it might be underneath or something. But you can put your vote in the chat if you want.
Okay, next time. That's okay. I agree to it, so.
Okay.
Okay, Corey.
Move adoption of the changes to our Google account as outlined by the IRO.
Okay, just so we're going to vote on that one, and then we need to go back and vote on the 7-month reimbursement as well.
Oh, gotcha. Well, I withdraw my motion.
Well, we can do it now.
It's cool with me. But let's do the Google thing. Move adoption. I put my motion back on the floor. I move adoption of the changes to our Google account as outlined by the IRO.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. You have a second?
Okay, so the poll is up. Pat, make sure you can see it.
Mhm.
Isn't democracy exciting?
It's better than the alternative.
Should see how it is in some of the other committees.
Okay, coming up on a minute. And there we go. Okay, motion passes.
All right, and we still need to reimburse you for the Google charges?
Yes, for the past 7 months.
How
Sorry, Dan.
much?
I'm sorry, what was that, Steve?
How much,
was
Don?
Oh. It was, I'm sorry, I put down the price per month. The total amount is, $336.
So 326.20 for Zoom, 336, what was that? 336
336 period for the past 7 months.
for Google, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Move reimbursement of the, as said.
It's also in the motion or in the poll.
Is there a second?
Do the damn tires.
I'll second.
All right, thank you. If you'd launch that.
Okay. I think we've got everyone voted. I'll give it a few more seconds in case. Okay, we're coming up on the minute mark. And yay, I get my money back again. So thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone, and no doubt Tommy will be assiduous in submitting your invoices for payment.
They'll be coming over tonight.
All right, folks. Does anyone have anything that they wish to bring up for the good of the order? So please raise your hand. Cassandra.
Hi, everybody. Happy Wednesday. As an endorsed candidate, I'm just coming before you to say thank you again for your endorsement and for your confidence in my campaign. And thank you, Miss Maggie. I did not know, but I will add it to the website tonight. But I did want to share that we are in the final 6 days, and the our get out to vote is happening now. I can send over the information, but we will be walking every day starting tomorrow. We'll be phone banking as well. And I would love for some of you to join us, whether it's phone banking or walking, or even sharing a post about why you support the campaign. So thank you so much, Don, for that opportunity.
Thank you. Jeff, you're next.
You covered most of the stuff that I would normally cover in a report, but I do want to say that I have 3 scheduled trainings coming up. The next 3 trainings are on governance. March 9th, I'll have a training on best practices for virtual or hybrid meetings. On April 13th, we'll be going over Robert's rules or rules of order, Roberts and the AIOP standard code. And on May 11th, we'll cover bylaws, requirements, and best practices. So those are going to be coming up. You can register for those on my website at region3dems.com. Thanks.
Thank you. Glenn. You're next.
Good evening, everyone. Glenn Lovall. Wanted to chime into what Cassandra James was saying earlier. Of course, with her as the Democratic endorsed candidate, strongly encouraging everyone as they are able to get out there in the GOTV efforts for her for Solano County District 1 in the time that we have left, of course, leading up through next Tuesday, Election Day. We know that Cassandra has commanded a coalition, of course, between Democrats, progressives, unions, environmentalists, and housing advocates. And it's a coalition as strong and dynamic as the Democratic Party itself. And I think we can all agree it's time for such coalitions and agendas to continue their path to county level and support Cassandra as our champion. So please get out there as you are able for the GOTV efforts over the next 5 to 6 days. Thank you, everyone.
And Bonnie, you're next.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to let folks know that the ad hoc legislative committee will resume meetings probably in March, pending the outcome of the contested election in District 3. If I'm reelected, I'll continue on as chair. If not, then you'll have to figure out something else. But anyway, good luck to all my fellow candidates in District, I believe it's 2 and 3. And anyway, I just want to, and anyone who is interested in the legislative committee, let me know. Thanks.
Okay, and Steve, you're next.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi, I'm Steve Quinlan. I'm a proud union school teacher, and I'm urging everyone to vote no for Christopher Cabaldon. He is sponsored by the California Charter School Association, and he does not support our neighborhood public schools. I'm also urging people not to vote for Jackie Elward. Jackie falsely put the CTA logo on her campaign literature when she did not have a CTA endorsement. So no on Cabaldon and no on Edwards. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And with that, I do want to remind everyone that the state party has endorsed Rosanna Berger Aliga for the state Senate district in our area. The Central Committee has endorsed Cassandra James and Monica Brown for county supervisor. We also endorsed the 3 Benicia measures, A, B, and C, if I'm remembering correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And I encourage all of you to do what you can to support our endorsed candidates over this weekend. But of course, you are, as always, free to vote your conscience for the Democratic candidate of your choice. But please do keep in mind who the party has endorsed. I want to take a moment to thank those of you who are not returning to the Central Committee after the election. Thank you all for your service. Some of you have been on for 1 term. Some of you have been on for several terms. We appreciate it. And we will see, of course, what the outcome of the election is for the rest of us who are in contested races. Lynette, your hand's up.
Yes, thank you. And don't forget, our Assemblywoman, Lori Wilson, has been endorsed by the party. So let's make sure she gets reelected. There's quite a few people in that race that I was quite surprised to see. But Lori is our endorsed candidate by the state, too.
You are correct. For that matter, both Mike Thompson and John Garamendi are also our endorsed candidates, but I just assume the 3 of them don't have any real opposition. So I was taking their re-elections for granted, but thank you for reminding us all. All of you, thank you for your very spirited discussion of the issues in chat. And although he has left, I want to thank Brian Kim for sticking around and answering all the questions that were asked in chat. So if you have not been reading chat, please look at his answers there. Either before you leave or download the chat and read them at your leisure. I don't see anyone else with their hand up, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, thank
Second.
you. All right. All in favor say aye or vote on the poll. And if you haven't mailed your
Aye.
ballot back already, please do so. Have a good evening, everyone.
Good night.
Good night. Thanks for a good meeting, Dawn.
We are adjourned.